someone who likes to take life as it comes, moving at a steady pace and avoiding unnecessary stress? If so, you might be a phlegmatic pilgrim or the gentle wayfarer. Hi, I'm Jen, and this is my Camino Temperament series, where we're talking about how your unique design impacts how you plan, walk, and reflect upon your Camino de Santiago. Today we're talking about phlegmatic pilgrims. So if you think you are phlegmatic, that's great. You should watch this. If you don't know, you should take the free quiz that's linked in the description below. Also, you should just watch all of these because the temperaments are interesting and you will encounter pilgrims of all 4 different temperaments. So hopefully this will be useful to you as we dig into our phlegmatic friends. Spoiler alert, I am a phlegmatic myself, so I am very at home talking about the strengths, but mostly the challenges sometimes of being a phlegmatic pilgrim. In terms of what temperaments mean, if you remember from the intro video, temperaments have to do with how we respond to external stimuli. So for the phlegmatic, we respond slowly with low intensity, and it doesn't last very long, if at all. So we are very chill, very calm, take life as it comes kind of pilgrims. There are good things and bad things about that, so let's jump into what those might be. So let's start with the strengths of the phlegmatic. The first strength is that we are easygoing and adaptable. This means that we can handle the ups and downs of the Camino. We tend to be really patient with other pilgrims who may not be as easily able to handle the ups and downs of the Camino. We tend to be loyal and dependable, so we like to meet other pilgrims. We might find a group that we like to walk with to whom we are very loyal. We are a steady presence, right? We just are consistent, not a lot of highs, not a lot of lows. We are there on the way with everyone. And phlegmatics really are content with simplicity. We find peace in the rhythm of walking. I would say that that's really true for me as a phlegmatic pilgrim in all my Caminos. The simplicity of what the day looks like is sort of like a balm to my soul, right? That I can, every day I get up and I walk and I eat and I sleep. I get up and I walk and I eat and I sleep. That is incredibly soothing to me. And one of the things I love so much about the Camino is that it just kind of strips away all of the noise and all the other things. So that is a true gift of being a phlegmatic pilgrim. In terms of challenges, phlegmatic pilgrims can have a bit of a lack of motivation. They can struggle with pushing themselves on tough days. I think I have some choleric tendencies that were pushing me. Like I really had a big goal to get to Santiago. And so I don't think I lacked motivation overall, but certainly on some days it is more of a struggle than others. And I really appreciated having fellow pilgrims with me to encourage me on days where it was just a slog. So even though I like the steady rhythm of walking step by step, sometimes those steps are difficult. And so it can be hard to push yourself as a phlegmatic, and so we do rely on other people. Phlegmatics can also tend to avoid challenges because we don't like discomfort. For phlegmatics are all about comfort and being comfortable. And so the entire Camino is a challenge. So in some ways, a phlegmatic going on the Camino is already exhibiting some courage and strength of character there. Some ways that this came out for me might have been more in the sort of reflective or emotional challenges, right? Like I didn't want to come face to face with some things. And so if I could avoid doing that, I was more likely to just chat with other people and kind of avoid going too deep into my thoughts. I do think this is why on the Camino Frances that the mesita is really important, because I remember there very distinctly that there was one day that there was no getting away from what I was feeling. There was really no one else around. I couldn't talk to anybody else, and I just kind of had to, I kind of had to yell at God for a moment, and I'm not someone who normally does that. So, and then that third challenge is the tendency to follow rather than lead. We may tend to overly rely on others to make decisions. I think that was really true for me, particularly in the first week of my first Camino. I found myself walking with a wonderful group of people, but there were a couple of really strong personalities, I'm pretty sure they were clerics, who were really driven and had a timeline and picked like when we were stopping or like, oh, we're taking a longer lunch now, things like that. And after about a week of that, I realized that was not the kind of environment I wanted to be in for the whole Camino. I was super grateful to have met them and really enjoyed them, but that I needed to let them keep going and kind of slow down a little bit and walk the Camino more on my terms. Similarly, I don't have many regrets from my first Camino, but one of them that I do have is that the first night in Roncesvalles, I did not go to the Pilgrims Mass because the people I had befriended were not Catholic and that wasn't important to them. And I thought in the moment that it was better for me to just stay and have dinner with them. But I think in retrospect, I wish I had gone to that Mass because later on the Camino and in subsequent Caminos, I have gone to those kinds of pilgrim masses and they are very meaningful for me. So reminding myself that I need to make my own decisions and it's okay to do that is a big part of managing being a phlegmatic. What helps you thrive as a phlegmatic is a slow, steady rhythm. This walk early, rest often is actually the rhythm I found myself in towards the end of my first Camino that I think made everything possible, right? I actually really enjoyed getting up early, being out there about around sunrise, like being able to experience that. And then I could rest whenever I wanted to, but I didn't need to rest for very long. I had been walking with people who would like push and walking and then stop and rest for like an hour and then get up. And that was hard for me. I always sort of felt a little antsy or like, I don't need to do this. And so by the end, when I was really walking by myself, I found I could get up early in the morning and walk for a good amount of time. But if I stopped to rest, I only needed like 5 minutes. Just sit down, have some water, breathe a little bit, and then I was ready to go again. And that was enough. And it also enabled me to get to various albergues early enough to get beds and things like that. But this slow, steady rhythm can be really good for a phlegmatic. That's the kind of consistency that we need to be comfortable. Also helping us thrive is encouragement to engage. Phlegmatics tend to be friendly. They may not be the most outgoing. I think we tend to be a little reserved. But so having a store of meaningful questions that you can ask a pilgrim helps both make a connection with others, but also helps in our own reflection, right? It's a way to have a meaningful conversation. So to go beyond just the, oh, hey, how are you? Like, how are things going? Having some deeper questions, asking folks about why they're walking or what they've learned so far or things that have come up from them, then becomes a two-way street, right? And you are thinking about that for yourself as well. Which leads to the third point, which is gently stretching outside your comfort zone. So choosing one extra stage that feels like a push. I can think of a couple of those. One was like the first day I walked because I hadn't meant to start that day. So it definitely felt like a push. It was like, oh, okay, I guess we're doing this now. Let's just go. But also there were a couple of times when we did an extra long stage because there was a particular albergue we wanted to stay in. Or when I walked the Camino Portuguese, like I had a limited amount of time. And so I had to do basically 2 stages in one day. And so planning for that and getting through that was a really challenging stage for me. But I made it and then did not move out of my bed in the albergue like the entire evening. But yes, encouragement to stretch outside comfort zone can be good, right? Because one of the best sayings a coach ever gave me as a phlegmatic was, what if change leads to more comfort? Because phlegmatics don't like change, they love comfort. And just that question of like, yeah, but like, what if you could be more comfortable if you did something that caused a little bit of discomfort right now? I was like, oh man, that's a really useful thought. I should do that more in my life. So pushing a little bit, like, challenge yourself a little bit. That can lead you to more comfort because it leads you to some confidence and reassurance that, hey, you can do hard things. So here's one practical tip that you can do as a phlegmatic pilgrim. You could set a small daily stretch goal. So you could try to introduce yourself to one new pilgrim every day. Just strike up that conversation. Or choosing the harder path once. I know there were a couple options. I'm blanking on the stage right now, but it was like you could go straight through the valley, or you could climb up like halfway and walk, or you could climb all the way up the mountain and walk. And I think I chose the halfway point and was like by myself the entire day after having climbed straight up for like 30 minutes. But it was one of my favorite days. It was an amazing experience. Again, it was that challenge, right? Like leaning into the challenge to give a sense of accomplishment. I think because phlegmatics don't like discomfort, when we allow ourselves to lean into it and then reach a particular goal as a result of that, it reminds us of the value of being uncomfortable and that it is worth it in certain occasions to seek out that discomfort. So there we go. Those are our gentle wayfarers, the phlegmatic pilgrims. And that's the fourth temperament that we were talking about. So hopefully this series has been useful for you. If you still don't know and haven't taken the test to find out what you are, please use that link in the description below to take that free Camino Temperament Quiz. It is no pressure, like it's a totally free quiz. But also if you have taken it, if you've watched these videos and you would like to chat more about your particular temperament and what that means specifically for you and your Camino, please feel free to schedule those 30-minute chats with me. I'm happy to do some coaching with you on how you can utilize this new knowledge and making sure that you have a Camino that has peace, purpose, and joy. Also, I do larger coaching, so please check that out as well. Also, if you haven't, go ahead and subscribe. We're going to have one more wrap-up video in this session, but also this channel is just about sharing wisdom from the Camino, both specifically for planning Caminos and reflecting on them, but also just in terms of dealing with life. So I would love to see you in future videos. Thank you for watching this, and I hope to see you again soon. Buen Camino.